Today we're talking about BC-CAP, which stands for the British Columbia Clinical Assessment Program for International Medical Graduates. We're looking at matching into residency within the province of British Columbia in all fields, spanning from family medicine to all the subspecialties. If you're new on this channel, I am an internal medicine resident at the University of Calgary. And in this video, we'll be talking about what the BC-CAP is, eligibility, the cost, timelines, the exam flow, the scoring system, a sample exam question and a sample answer, and the resources that you can use to prepare for this BC-CAP. So without wasting time, let's get right into it. But just before we get right into it, please hit subscribe. Our statistics show that more than 85% of you watching are not subscribed. It is free to you if you subscribe. I promise I'll do my best to give you the most accurate information and respond to as many questions in the comment section as much as possible. So the BC-CAP assesses international medical graduates who are looking at getting into residency in any university within the province of British Columbia. BC-CAP MMIs, which is a multi-mini interview, is a format in which the exams is given to the candidates who go through this program, done by IMGs and some Canadian medical graduates or CMGs who are from non-CA CMS schools. Regular CMGs don't apply for the BC-CAP. And so the BC-CAP itself actually includes a file review, and to be able to qualify you need to submit an MCCQ1 result. The NACOS key has been waived for this particular year, but in other years you would have to share all this information through your physician's apply account for them to consider you to sit for the exams. It's actually a one-day exams where you go through a series of stations, about 8 to 10 of them, and each station lasting about 5 minutes plus about 2 minutes of prep time and 1 minute in between. So you're looking at 8 minutes per station in total. And these stations essentially assess the CANMED rules. There are 7 CANMED rules: medical expert, advocate, professional, scholar, communicator, collaborator, and many others. For the BC-CAP, the results of these tests are valid for 3 years. And yearly they do an assessment to take only about 360 applicants. You can get rejected if maybe your MCCQ1 scores were not really good, your application file is incomplete or is inconsistent or incoherent in general, or they have questions about you as a candidate just from looking at your overall application. They might just disqualify you and not even give you the opportunity to apply to the BC-CAP. And if you do not sit and be part of the BC-CAP, then you can't even apply to match in the province of British Columbia during your CaRMS residency application March cycle. Eligibility: who is eligible? All IMGs who are from WHO accredited schools or from schools that are mentioned in the WARDOM with a description note. You are eligible to apply, and you must be either a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident. And if you're from northern provinces such as Yukon, you have to be able to show some proof, maybe through your health insurance card, that you are a resident of those provinces. If you are a resident of BC, then you have to be able to show your MSP card, which is your BC health card, to show proof of your address in British Columbia. You must have also passed the MCCQ1, as it is mandatory for you to share your result with BC-CAP office. Unlike Alberta, in BC, English language is not mandatory if you can show that your primary language of doing medicine from your home country was in English. For instance, you're from South Africa and you mostly use English in your medical school, then you can show proof that you're from South Africa and use English, and you'll be waived from either presenting an IELTS or CELPIP exams or whatever English exams that you want to present. And you know that the benchmark cutoff for this English exam should be a 7 on all bands on your IELTS academic exams. Now let's go to the costs. For you to apply to BC, you have to pay a cost of about $200 for the BC office to take a comprehensive look at your application, see if you meet eligibility requirements and if you qualify, and then for you to actually sit for that one-day MMI exams and be amongst the 360 candidates that are selected to participate per year. Of course, this fees is completely separate from the fees that you pay for your MCCQ1 exams, which is through your Physicians Apply account that you pay to register for your MCCQ1 exams and your NACOSKI exams. This is different, and this is also different from the fees you pay once when CaRMS is open and you're ready to apply. In terms of deadline, usually it opens sometimes maybe late July and then closes end of August, and then you sit for the MMI in September. Usually the difference between BCCAP and AIMG for Alberta is usually like a week. They open sometimes end of July and ends end of May, and then the applications are reviewed, and then you get a confirmation about your application in early September whether you've been approved to sit for the exams or not. And the $200 that you pay in order to create your account and send in your application is non-refundable. Once you sit and you pass the MMI, the results are valid for 3 years, so you can use it to apply to the CaRMS in 3 different years, unlike Alberta where you have to pay and sit for the MMI every year if you're a resident of Alberta and you wish to match in Alberta. In terms of the exam format, it is conducted by the University of British Columbia IMG office, and they have about 8 to 10 stations per exams, and you have about 8 minutes per station. You actually speak for about 5 minutes. It's usually either stations where you have a question that's prompted to you. So it's usually it really varies per year, and they'll always give you clear instructions if you have one question at the end of every station or there is no question. And once you have that instruction, then try to follow it. Overall, you have about 8 minutes per station, 5 minutes to speak, 2 minutes for you to prepare your notes once you read the question, and then usually some 1 minute in between when you adjust, and then the station actually starts. You don't have to do anything. There's a countdown on your screen. It's an autopilot, and you move automatically from one room to the other. Platform that's used to conduct these exams is called CaRMS. It's not Zoom or any of these other platforms, but it is this unique platform called CaRMS. And once the time will come, the BC office will send you information via email for you to watch a video on how to use this platform, on how to register, create your profile, and then let things happen, as you can see. So let's look at a sample question. The question reads, a nurse reports that a senior resident is regularly dismissive and harsh with junior trainees. How do you respond? This is a very typical kind of question that you can have on your real MMI exams. And the way you respond to these kind of questions will be to follow a mnemonic called tune in. T stands for tune in. Start by saying thank you for bringing this to my attention. Can you describe what exactly happened? Because you can't just jump into the conclusion that, oh, this senior resident is bad. You have to say what happened so you have a sense of the entire scenario before you can proceed to give advice or to condemn whatever way you're going to go. Express empathy. E stands for express empathy. That sounds stressful to everyone that was involved in this particular situation, and it can be very hurtful for the junior residents. It can cause them to be distressed and not really study well or not thrive well during their training or during that particular block of rotation. And the next thing will be to ask follow-up questions. How long has this been happening? Anyone is particularly impacted by the situation? These are all questions that you want to ask to get a good grips of what has been happening. And then you want to manage escalation. And managing escalation here means ensuring that learning and progression of the junior residents is not compromised. So you advocate for these junior residents, and that's why here you're saying manage escalation. And again, you see how I'm trying to incorporate the CAN-MED rules in all these responses. Now the next thing I would look for is use a proper channel. So you'd say something like, I'll raise this with the program director or the educational lead to just make sure that they are aware that something like this is ongoing. So you're giving your recommendation, you're actually talking about the actions that you would take. And then the plan/check, which is the last letter P, you would say, let's meet after you speak with them and I'll follow up. Right, to speak with these particular senior residents and then follow up to give feedback to the nurse that reported to you, or make sure that the residents that are junior are doing really well. So this is exactly the kind of thing that you would have on the real exams. In this particular question, they're trying to see if you're a good collaborator. A nurse is bringing something here to your attention and it involves senior residents and junior residents. We want to see how you're able to solve this kind of situation. We want to see how professional you are, and we're trying to test your leadership skills in this particular question. How would you approach the senior resident? Would you be bossy? Would you condemn them, or would you go in and approach in order to win them to understand what the situation was like? So these are the kind of things that you'll be tested on. And we want to test your communication skills above all. Communication holds for about 40% in all these exams, so you really want to be careful with the way you communicate. And again, resources that are useful to prepare for this would be doing right, just reading some pages on ethics and Toronto notes as well. People have said it's useful for the ethics section. And you can also use like paid workshop, paid mocks, and we will be organizing a mock here at Universal MD, and we'll also be organizing some classes to help you with MMI sessions. So if you're keen to those, make sure you check on the description box. You want to come back to this video and check it during the time September, October, November period where we'll be releasing this information. So please check that out and register at that time. If you are interested in some things that we do, please check out our description. There's lots of cool stuff that you can get information on. You can get a customized CV. You can get information about personal statements. You can get courses on Casper. You can get how to ace and be a great candidate for the CaRMS, and how to ace your interviews as well. So please support us by subscribing, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.